All right, it looks like we may still have some people popping in here and there, but I do also want to be respectful of our time. So I think unless Jamie or Pari or Aaron has an objection, we can go ahead and jump in as to make sure we have enough time because we always enjoy our time with you all when you join us for Tech Talk Tuesdays, and we're really excited about today's topic, which is leveraging AI tools to empower students to take an active role in their learning journey. And so we're really excited about this topic. We will put a link to the presentation in the chat because I think we do have some links in there that we'll want you to be able to get to. So I'll pop that in the chat in just a second, but wanted to make sure that we took a minute to say thank you so much for joining us today. And we're very excited to be able to talk with you. It is a bit of an interactive session, so feel free to share with us in chat. We'll be watching chat as well as giving you an opportunity to chime in with us. So with that said, I am going to actually turn it over, I think, to Jamie. And Jamie, you're on mute.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. Welcome, everyone. So today's Tech Talk, we were brainstorming about what to do and what are some interesting topics. And we're always, if you have a topic, please send it our way, and we can work on that and present that in a Tech Talk. But we came to kind of a point on, let's take a moment to look at how students can use AI tools in their self-directed learning. And so that's kind of what we're going to look at today, are some ways that you can show your students how to use the tools so they can go interact with the systems themselves and maybe use them in the form of a tutoring session or to do some practice work. So we're going to be talking about that topic today with you. And we've got some examples that we're going to be sharing as we go through our conversation. So a little bit of housekeeping. As we mentioned earlier, this session is recorded. And we ask that for the privacy of all of our attendees that you please not enable any third-party tools. An example would be Otter AI. A lot of folks out there in webinars we're in will use those, but it doesn't guarantee the privacy, and we can't guarantee the privacy of our attendees because it is a third-party tool. So we ask that you refrain from that. This recording will be placed on our website, and so if you want to go back and revisit, or if someone you know didn't have an opportunity to participate in this meeting, then they can access it there, and we'll share at the end where that information lives. Also, privacy is paramount. So when we talk about using AI tools, we want to make sure that we keep front and center the privacy for ourselves and our students. So when you are interacting with systems, please do not put any PII or personally identifiable information in the tools. If you use AI tools to provide feedback on student work, remove any PII prior to a copy and paste into a system. Okay, so our overview today, we're going to talk about using AI to empower our students to do the self-directed learning things, or how can we set some things up in our course that students can then take advantage of. So we're going to look at benefits of student engagement. So one of the things that is really driving the implementation of AI is being able to engage students in new ways and different ways. And we're going to give you some engagement examples. We're going to talk a little bit about improved retention and what can happen there. We're going to go over just a few tools for AI tools for enhancing learning. And then we'll talk through some student-generated prompts and use cases, and we'll wrap it up with questions. And we want to make sure that we leave some time. We want to hear from you, some of the things that you have done in your courses and interacting with your students using these tools. So, excuse me. So thinking about benefits of empowering students through AI tools, we mentioned increased engagement. So we know that when students are engaged in their learning process and they are empowered in their learning process, they are more likely to remain engaged and retain course material. So we want to frame the use of the tools in that way. And we've talked about revamping some of your activities and assignments to increase engagement. If you've not had an opportunity to hear that information, revisit our previous Tech Talks that we will have posted. So we go through some of that in great detail, particularly through authentic assessment tasks. Improved retention. Student engagement increases motivation, which thus increases student success. And professional pursuits. So we want to think about also when our students leave our classroom. Are we preparing them with AI skill sets so that they can go interact with these tools that are being implemented on a daily basis in their career pursuits? Interestingly, back in our November Tech Talk, one of our instructors mentioned that she had implemented ChatGPT into her course, and this was we were towards the end of the semester in this conversation, and she said that her attendance was nearly 100%, that she had not had that drop off that she sometimes experiences when you get towards the end of the semester. So she attributed that to redesigning those assignments where students were engaging with the AI tools and they saw the immediate benefit, and it just made them so excited and motivated. So that's a really neat thing we wanted to share with you. Also, the benefits of empowerment is gaining a deeper understanding. So we talk about critical thinking being the #1 skill, really. #2 would be communication. You could absolutely interchange those that students need to effectively use these AI tools. So we know that these tools have bias. We know that they hallucinate. So students need to be able to think critically about the information that they're taking out of a system and be able to go check other sources of that material, which really allows them to critically analyze. They need to be able to communicate, right, with the system. So it's in computer science, we always said that phrase of garbage in, garbage out. So you need to be able to put in good prompts and iterate good prompts to get you to the information you're searching for. So deeper understanding is fostered through the use of these tools. Okay, so I'm going to show you some engagement and retention examples. And I have run these prompts through ChatGPT. And so I'm using a free version, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But and we're going to, and I've run it through and I've linked those up so you can take a look at it. Now I'm going to show you, once I click this link, what I did was I prompted the system. And then when I was finished with my prompting, I hit a share button that's in the interface, and it generates a link that you can share. Keep that in mind if you choose to use ChatGPT in your course, because students can share their prompts and interactions with the system with you through a link, or you can also share with your students. Students can work collaboratively. So that's what we're going to look at in these next few examples. So the first one is personalized support and AI study assistant. So basically what we're getting here is students can use these systems to develop personalized study plans. So I'm going to click this link, and it's going to jump us over to the ChatGPT prompt that I plugged in. And here's what I plugged in. I said, I'm teaching a community college course. I would like to show students 2 explicit ways they can use ChatGPT themselves as a personalized study assistant. Explain how the use of AI can lead to increased engagement and improved learning outcomes. And I said, be concise, because ChatGPT can be wordy. Only in 2 sentences. So it came back and it said, students can use ChatGPT to generate study guides and summaries of complex topics, helping them grasp key concepts and efficiently prepare for better for exams. It can assist them in drafting and refining essays or assignments by providing instant feedback and suggestions, which can enhance writing skills. And so then I came back and I said, okay, you're telling me that it can provide a step-by-step guide or a study guide. I said, provide a step-by-step guide, because I want to see that product that it's giving us. So it came back and it gave me a step-by-step guide of what students could do to use the system to engage to get a personalized learning plan. Okay. Then I came down to the next one and I said, explicitly explain how ChatGPT can assist in drafting and refining essays. And so it's going to go through that with me. Start by sharing an essay topic or assignment prompt with ChatGPT. Provide ChatGPT with your outline or main points. Request assistance in drafting paragraphs. Can you help me write an introduction? Or can you suggest an introduction? So I know you're probably feeling a little nervous right now about, okay, how do I know students aren't just churning out what they're, or turning in what they're churning out of the system? Our advice to you is to focus on process in addition to product. So what you might do is have the student do a rough draft and then have them interact with the AI to get a draft, then have them do a comparison for you. That way we're really getting to that critical thinking piece. And so students aren't just putting some information in, getting it out, turning it into you. They need to explain to you what their thinking was, what their process was, and how they landed on it. But students can get immediate feedback on their writing. We've heard professors across the country talk about students maybe a lack of confidence in their writing, and they've been able to use AI systems to build more confidence because they have difficulty writing. So being able to interact with a system where maybe they don't feel like there's some judgment or whatever that's going on in that conversation, they're just interacting with the AI, then they can get feedback on that information. So this is just a couple of ways, a few ways, and I would ask you to come back and look at this information in detail. We don't have time really to go pick it apart, but that's why I provided the link so you can come back and look at it in detail and think about it some more. So AI Study Assistant. All right, we're going to jump to the next one. Instant feedback and availability 24/7. Think about how great that is. I cannot tell you the number of times that I've been teaching in a class and I'm like commuting to my classroom the next day and a student's emailing me and they meet me in the class and they say, hey, did you get my email? And I'm like, well, no, I was driving, trying to get here. Or a student sends me an email at midnight or one of those things because they're stuck, or they send me an email at 11 o'clock and they've got to submit their assignment at midnight, right? But these tools can provide instant feedback and they're available 24/7. So I'm going to jump over and show you briefly what I have back here. I'm teaching a community college course. I'd like to show students two ways that to use ChatGPT to provide immediate feedback on their assignments, enabling them to correct their mistakes immediately and learn from their errors. Now, remember, process in addition to product. So they're not going to give me the thing at the end. They're going to give me what they started with, what they arrived at, and how they got there, and then evaluate that for me. So two ways. So students can use it for a writing and grammar check. So they can copy paste their work in and have ChatGPT give them feedback. And by the way, we did a workshop with Rome State a couple weeks ago, and we had them, we generated a quick 3-paragraph essay and tweaked it because everything's a draft out of here, right? It's always a rough draft. And we tweaked it, and then we had the faculty paste that in and say, provide feedback on the student essay below. And I wanted them, or Sarah and I and our team wanted them to see, what does that look like when that happens? And it came back and gave them feedback on punctuation, grammar, tone, voice, whatever you want it to give that on. So it can give that feedback to a student. Concept clarification. So for subjects like math, science, programming, they can input specific problems they're struggling with. What they would need to do is say, okay, I need you to help me with this problem, but I don't want you to provide the answer. I want you to give me advice and walk me through the steps in solving this problem. Now, are some students going to say, give me the answer? Probably. But again, focus on process, not product. Have them then explain the analysis of it to you so that you know they, in fact, know how to work their way through those problems. And as we mentioned, it's 24/7 availability. I want the process to exclude explanations of why, not simply to include explanations of why. I'm sorry, not simply provide the answers. What advice can you provide? So right here's some good little nuggets. So when seeking feedback, students should explicitly request explanations. Can you check my essay for grammatical errors and explain why each correction is necessary? Can you solve this math problem and explain each step so that I understand the process? Now, you can also, like I said, have it not give you the answer and just walk you through step by step. Engaging in follow-up questions. Student, I see the correction you made, but can you explain the rule behind it? Why did you choose this method to solve the problem? Are there alternative methods? So those are direct prompts that students can plug in. Utilize examples. Students can ask for additional examples to reinforce their understanding. So for example, student can plug in, can you provide another example of this grammar rule in use? And I love that. So they can just keep on and they can just ask for more and more and more and see several different examples. Can you show me a similar math problem and how to solve it? So we're reinforcing that learning that they're doing. Personalized, customized learning experiences. So we have students in our classrooms and we want to personalize and customize as much as we can to their strengths and weaknesses so that we're providing extra learning experiences to fill in the gaps, right? But that takes time. And when you've got 25, 30, 50 students in a class, it can really take time, right? So these systems can really help you in that way. So let's take a look at some examples of providing customized experiences. Okay, my initial prompt was, I'm teaching a community college course. Now, I always put in community college course right there. I'm giving it context. So it's not going to give me something that's relevant for K-12. And some of the stuff in secondary is really relevant to our classroom, but sometimes it's not. So I just give it context so I can get right where I want to be. I want to see 2 explicit ways ChatGPT can provide customized learning experiences. Emphasize how the students can use them to tailor the content and pace of the instruction to their learning needs. So the first one, students can ask ChatGPT to help them create personalized study plans tailored to their specific learning goals, strengths, and weaknesses. So here's the example request ChatGPT gave me. I need help preparing for my upcoming biology exam. I'm struggling with genetics, but I feel confident about ecology. Can you help me create a plan that focuses on my weak areas? Now, if you wanted to share that with students and you say, okay, I'm not teaching biology, you can just plug in your topic areas there, your content areas. So it comes back and it says, here's a study plan focusing on genetics while maintaining your understanding of ecology. So there's just some options here. Now, if I'm looking at this and it says, all right, read textbook chapters, watch YouTube videos, complete practice problems, I can then start to tease this down to some different things because those are things you're probably doing now. Or if it's giving me something that students are doing now, I say, no, I need something else. We're already doing that. Okay, we're already looking at YouTube videos. So here's some more flashcards. Study chromosomal inheritance of genetic mutations. Take a practice quiz. Students can ask ChatGPT to quiz them on topics. They can copy and paste questions into the system and say, quiz me on the set of questions, or they can just give it a topic area and let it generate the questions for them. So they can start doing that quiz practice. Review connections between genetics and ecological principles. Read your textbook, of course, right? Discuss connections in a study group or with a classmate. So you can drill down more on these and say, tell me more about this. Tell me more about discussing connections in a study group with a classmate. Give me specific instruction on that, and it will give you specific instruction. Let's see, review any incorrect answers and focus on weak areas. And again, just like we mentioned in the previous example, we can say, okay, I missed this question. Explain to me in different ways so I can grasp this concept. And you would need to tease that out a little bit more, but you get the idea, and students can start to quiz the system and interact and say, I'm really not grasping this concept. Can you help me further? You can have the system, ChatGPT, take on the role of a tutor and say, okay, you're going to, or an academic coach, and you're going to work with me on mastering this content. So student can plug in prompts such as those. I'm going to jump back. And then deeper understanding. So we talked about retention and deeper understanding. So let's take a look and see what we've got under deeper understanding. Students can use ChatGPT for explanations of complex concepts in simpler terms. That's really great. And that we've got a prompt on a later slide that a student could plug in that says something like, explain this topic like I'm 15 years old. Explain this topic like I'm 10 years old. And it will come back and make things much more simpler. You can also explain this topic. I am a novice and I have no prior information. Or explain this topic. And I have intermediate knowledge, but I need to know more about the topic. So you can just give it some context. So it's talking here about, can you explain, here's the student's prompt, can you explain the concept of photosynthesis in simple terms? And so it's going to give us the response. And then it's going to say, have students identify a complex topic from your course and ask ChatGPT to explain it in simpler terms. So having them actually work through that process will be helpful. Secondly, practice problem-solving skills. Students can use ChatGPT to practice problem-solving related to their coursework. So they're looking at a math problem here. And so the student's prompt is, I'm struggling with this math problem. Solve for x in the equation 2x plus 3 equal 11. And we're going to mention a little later on about a new version of ChatGPT coming out. And so they have a great example of this very thing happening between a student and the system. And in that new version, which is being released, it's amazing how it will tutor them and walk them through each step. So here we're just having ChatGPT explain the process. Okay, I'm going to come down and I said, all right, that's great. Give me 3 additional examples for humanities, right? And so we're here, a student prompt would be, can you explain the significance of the Treaty of Versailles in simpler terms? So once they get that information out, then have them do something with that information that they're going to come back in the course and they're going to say, okay, I did not understand this prior to using the AI. I engaged with the AI, we worked through the content, and now I grasp it. Again, focus on process in addition to product. Analyzing literary themes. What are the main themes in To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee? And so it's going through that information. Another one, explain Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So you get the idea. Students can engage to get another, get access to more information or deeper information about a topic. Okay, so I'm going to pop this back up again. All right. Let me stretch this out, make it easier. Okay, so those are some examples. Again, please come and look at those in detail by accessing these links, and you can see what exactly that I plugged in. All right, I'm going to hand this off to a teammate, and then we'll come back. And Erin, Pari, one of you guys want to take this slide?
If you can go ahead and just continue sharing there, that would be fine. And I'll just talk us through this slide here. So
absolutely.
Again, the link is in the chat there, so you can get to our presentation, so you can follow the links for these tools here. But we just wanted to highlight a few that perhaps your students are using, or ones you can explore and maybe explain and demonstrate to your students for using in your courses. The first one here is Perplexity. What's nice about this one is it's very similar to ChatGPT, where it's chat-based oriented interaction. And it has that access to real-time data and information, which is interesting because the last one also does that too. But the second one here, this one was new to me when I was doing my research for this slide, where a SciSpace and the URL, if we can put the URL in the chat there, because it's not the same. It's typeset.io is the URL. But when you go to that URL, that's what you'll see is the name of the product. And this one's really nice because it's really geared for being the role of a research assistant. So think about kind of taking what Jamie was describing earlier about simplifying a complex topic. This could be based on literature. This could be based on scientific research. So having learners explore a concept or a topic or doing research and having an assistant help to explain it to them in terms that they can make sense and make connections with. So that's the power of that one. That one's really, really nice. The next one here is you.com. And this one has many different features. Again, this one was new to me when I was doing this research, where you can go and engage in the various personal assistants that it has on there. And that could be from any of the media that are listed here with art creation, with coding, with writing, doing some web search, and also some light problem solving. But really want to focus a little bit more on the last one, since this was just announced yesterday, the release of ChatGPT 4.0. And we have a link there to this site, and actually I'll share my screen so I can, if I could do that real quick. This page here gives the announcement and walks through quite simply what is new with this offering. Their flagship offering actually from OpenAI, and also gives you a preview of some of the features that will be available. And yes, you see that green word free. So for those who are not using a paid account, that was for 4.0, you were using the 3.5 version. With this release, you'll now have access to the power and the capabilities of 4.0. Including the ChatGPT or the GPT store. So you can go and use the GPTs that are available within ChatGPT. And you don't have to pay for it. And there are a lot of other features. And this site, if you have time later today, within the next few days, there's going to be a lot of announcements that are going on about this. But there are several demo videos, and the one that Jamie was referencing was actually with, let's see, let me look up his name. I forgot his first name, Sal Khan of Khan Academy. Him and his son are doing a demo of solving a problem related to a right triangle. And the way that they set up the coaching with ChatGPT 4.0 was remarkable. It was like a tutor alongside what they were working on. And the capability now is that it has multimodal, so it's not just writing, it's also vision and auditory. So looking at things that you're sharing with ChatGPT in real time and giving you feedback and interacting with you in your world. So a lot of changes that are happening with this. And I can see with academics, these explorations of capabilities, if you have time, you can navigate down into this little drop-down menu, and it'll show you what are an example input and what is an example output that this will now have available to students and to users. And so taking really that tutor functionality that we've been talking about with the AI tools to a whole nother level. So definitely explore what is there, and interested in learning, from your experiences going forward, how your students are using this capability. Okay, and I think now I'm handing it back to Jamie for some more use cases.
Thank you, Erin. Okay, so we're going to take a look at some more student prompts, and I'm not going to dig down too deep because, like we mentioned, we want you guys to be able to let us know as well what you have going on. And so, again, come back to these next two slides and look at some examples of prompts that students can plug into the system. So up here, it's just, I'm a college freshman working on a writing assignment about topic, my instructor gave me the following instructions. Please suggest 5 good ideas for me to explore. So brainstorming tool. I'm working on a writing assignment. How should I structure it and which subtopics should I include? So think about these tools as the collaborator, right? The collaborator on the side. And that's what we really want our students to understand, is that I'm not going to hand over my agency and just put the assignment in there and take it out and turn it in. That I want to have someone to brainstorm with. I want to have someone to collaborate with. And if you've got students working in a group, just add ChatGPT as an extra member, right? Or one of the other AI tools as the extra member in the group. Have students do something on the initial end, all human-based, and then do it again, replicate it, including the AI, and compare those and share those out in class. And what surprised them? What didn't surprise them? Did they find bias? Did it hallucinate? So have them do all of that good analysis, focusing on process. Editing and proofreading. Take on the role of a copy editor. You're tasked with improving the punctuation and grammar of the following writing and minimal changes in wording. When you're done, please provide a bulleted list of punctuation and grammar you fixed. Here is the writing. Act as a writing tutor and give feedback on my writing, analyze and offer areas of improvement. Okay, so I'm going to toss it back to Erin. And Erin, I'm going to give you the screen back.
All right, very good. Yeah, and you know, just reiterating the cycle, if you will, of human, AI, human throughout all of these engagements with AI. And that's really where the power will come through education, is to really understand the process of what we're teaching more deeply, because they're not stuck on the content or the product. So that's what's amazing with this. So here I have linked in the presentation is just a Word document that has walked through some how do we deal with our current writing assignments, and how can we make them more AI proof or AI aware. And so I just have a simple screen share that I'm going to show you. So think of something even just this simple. So we have a content area and we're wanting learners to explain the causes of an event, right? So that simple expectation or assignment can easily be replicated or mimicked through AI. And so how can we go about engaging the human aspect in what it is we're actually wanting the student to produce and the process we're asking them to go through? So here I have an example of a revision of that assignment that's still going to get me to the outcome of focus that the student understands the causes of World War II, but we're asking them to engage their humanness in interviewing someone who was a participant within that experience in that time frame, and then reflecting on how their perspective relates to those historical narratives, what they're learning about in class. So that's a good example of how we can then really engage the learner in the content and the process that we're expecting them to go through, and helping them to take more ownership and have their voice be present in the assignment that we're asking them to turn in. And so there are a couple of scaffolding that we can also apply with this. And if you look at these here, again, they're all focusing on the human interaction. So requiring them to incorporate personal anecdotes or their own reflections about a concept, having them collect data, real-time data, maybe doing a survey or investigating through content analysis or literature research, or having them peer up with a peer. So all of those are good examples of how you can easily modify an assignment to make it more AI aware. And then I also wanted to just reiterate again, there are other modifications that you can consider. So these are some very good examples. And I used my ChatGPT tool to help me in servicing these. So connecting across disciplines is a really great way to elevate the expectations of assignments. And honestly, it makes it a lot more real world and thinking about how we engage in our workplace, that it's not singularly in discipline, that it's very interdisciplinarian. Having them forecast or speculate about the future. Again, that is an engaging in our humanness in being able to make those connections and make those possibilities a reality, in fact. Debates or taking a position, that is a really great way to elevate participation and engagement, as well as making it more authentic. And you can even have students engage in debate with the AI tool itself. And then also having students put them into different forms of modes. So in visual, in presentation, in other forms of writing. And then lastly, applying it to real world problems. And then again, having them connect that to possible solutions. So that is all I have for that. And I think I'm handing it over to Pari.
Thank you, Erin. Jamie, would you mind sharing the presentation again? So what we are going to do next is we sort of synthesize, we looked for student testimonials on how they are using AI already in their learning process and synthesize some testimonials from them. I would love to say these are from Tennessee. They are not, but that's why we have you guys, and we would love to hear from you what your students are telling you if you have had that conversation with them. But to bring some student perspectives to all of us, basically, to realize how they're using it, we had, I looked at a few different sources, EDUCAUSE Review, New York Times articles on how students and teachers are using it. And these are direct quotes from students. A rising ninth grader at Brooklyn High School basically said that I used ChatGPT and Math Plugin to help prepare me in geometry for next year. And this is very similar to the Sal Khan example on how the AI tutors his son. And the student further said it was very helpful because I can ask it a million questions and it never gets tired. And it was my own personalized tutor in math. An ESL student, English as Second Language student, and in Sydney basically said that if there's an upcoming lecture and maybe I haven't done the readings completely for it, I can ask ChatGPT to summarize the topic and provide me with some background so I can go into the lecture with something to go off and still contribute to the class discussion, take notes and understand what's happening. So sure, they're using ChatGPT as a start-off point, but also notice that they are doing it so that they can participate, they can understand better, they can take notes. And for an English as a second language student, it's very difficult when there's a lot of this. So it's really helping them learn, not helping them cheat, but helping them learn. A PhD student at Cornell University said that I use Speechify. That tool helps basically turn any article, any email, any written type of communication into something you can listen to. So that has been really helpful for me just in regards to time saving, because we have hundreds of pages of articles and things to read. And this is also very helpful to keep in mind where students process things differently. They may have a preference. My spouse likes to read things versus listen to things. She has an auditory processing issue. So she can read things better. Other students can listen to things better. And when there's hundreds of pages, it really helps them synthesize the things that they really need to focus on. If you jump to the next slide, Jamie. A recent graduate from University of California, San Bernardino, said that basically the entire workforce is already using it, by it meaning AI tools, for the same purposes of efficiency. And they know that as students, we are about to enter that workforce and we need to be prepared for it. So by they, he means our employers. Our employers will be looking for students who are AI literate and know how to use these tools. And if we don't, that's a significant disadvantage. So he, coming out and looking for being in the job market is really not cautioning, but telling us, like basically asking us to help them be AI literate. And finally, Ethan Mollick is a well-known name in the AI field, but he's a Wharton School professor. And on being asked about how should students approach generative AI in their learning, basically this is Ethan Mollick saying from the student's perspective that I would want clarity. Does this mean as a student that I'm allowed to use AI to generate ideas? Could AI come up with an outline that I can work on? Can I ask for feedback from AI? Am I allowed to use AI as a teammate? Can I ask AI advice for something? Can I ask to explain why I got a question right or wrong? And so he's encouraging students to say, I think you're allowed to ask, what does it mean, while being patient with your teachers that they haven't figured it out either and nobody knows the answer. So Ethan Mollick himself being a professor is telling the students that you need to be patient with us. We are trying to figure it out. But those questions are very, they sort of give us guidance as, wanting our students to use AI. So instead of saying don't use AI, or instead of saying you can use AI but show us the work, the more specific we are in telling the students how they can use AI, what they can use it for, what they cannot use it for. Here's a list of things you can do with AI. Here's a list of things you cannot do with AI. As Jamie mentioned earlier, if you are using AI, I want to see your process, share all your interaction with AI with me. And the more guidance we provide to our students, first of all, the better they know our expectations, the better they can learn how to use these tools. And I think that it makes them better with the AI literacy aspects, which will help them in their jobs. And so this is what the students are asking for, they're saying, and it really helps us keep that in mind when we are trying to figure out how to use AI in our courses. So if you have any questions, or if you want to share, what's happening in your classes, that would be great. And we also have our last slide is always about the resources that we have, our resources website, as well as any kind of all those Tech Talk recordings are there. Like Jamie mentioned, you can go back to it anytime. So
sorry about that. I should not have gotten excited and clicked out and wanted to just talk.
Yeah, I love this slide to be there when people are talking. So yeah.
But
so thank you.
This website we have been curating and building since, goodness, the fall, I suppose. And so this is where you'll find all the recordings to these meetings and a list of resources that we've gone through and curated and found the best ones that we found that we think will be really relevant to your classrooms. And so hopefully we've saved you some time in doing those kinds of things. And we've tried to really decide on a set of people who are working in this space, who are really doing great things and innovating in their classrooms. So you'll see them represented on that website. And we also have tutorials we are building constantly and adding in. We want to hear from you. There's a form on that website where you can tell us how you are using AI in your classroom, if you are. If you're not, we would ask you, we're going to give you a challenge. Do one activity in the next semester with AI. Give it a shot. If you are teaching this summer, give it a shot. If you're not, then spend some time this summer interacting with the tools. Ethan Mollick has said the best way to become an expert is using the tools, engaging with them. And also by engaging with those tools, you will see what students are getting out of them as well, right? So you'll become familiar with it. But the whole kind of gist here in student empowerment is that we are teaching students while we have them as a captured audience, how we use these systems effectively, and ethically. And so we really want to move into that space. And so hopefully this has given you some ideas to think about or to build on. But we'd like to take a few minutes and have you share out with us some ways that you are using AI in your classrooms, or you're thinking about using AI in your classrooms, or in your daily job, even if you're using AI for your productivity. Anyone want to share? Come on, don't be shy.
Hi, this is Nellie. Hey, y'all. work with a statewide dual credit, and we're doing a 3-year review of certain courses, and so we've used it to clarify language and learning objectives. And also we gather exam questions from like 6 different people who are working for us, and so we use it to standardize those questions so it's not so personalized to each instructor. It's more of a standardized test question. We also use it to put any information we have in a like a 10th grade reading level. So it's anything we have is the content doesn't change, but the readability is increased, especially for our high school students and even the freshmen in college, to be honest. And then I was really excited to hear about Speechify, because we have a lot of OER textbooks on OER Commons, and I'm wondering if we can use that could encourage students could use that to have the textbooks be read to them, because that's another big ask from our teachers is, can we get audio recordings for these textbooks? So I'm going to experiment with that.
Excellent. That's great.
Hey, Nellie, what is your favorite AI tool for adjusting the reading level of content?
Right now, it's the Google Gemini. Everything else, because we're putting in test like question prompts, oftentimes we get a return of them answering the question rather than doing what we've asked it to do. So Gemini seems to be really good for that, and also for the test question standardization. It tends to not answer the test question, but answer the questions we've posed to it. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Thanks.
in the demonstration yesterday, watching the new GPT-4o, I'm just another name, right? But they explicitly said, "Do not give me the answer," and I haven't really thought about that. But that really speaks to what you're saying right now. So it goes back to giving it context and really telling the system, this is exactly what I want you to do. But that's awesome that you're getting that out of Gemini. Good to know.
I'll have to remember that. Do not give me the answer part. That may help.
Right. And that's something that, I think we're having students use the systems, tell the student needs to instruct the system, do not give me the answer, and just help me with the learning. And so otherwise it's going to spit that answer out, right? Another quick thing that's really neat, just hitting on ChatGPT, and I want to hear from you, but it can translate into over 80 languages. And so if you're teaching foreign language, or if you have a student who is ESL, really think about that. And there's the new system, they're really touching on how it can help students who are working, who have dyslexia, and some of the other challenges as well. So think about accessibility when you're using these systems, but they have some great new enhancements coming out. Anyone else want to share?
If you all, I do have a question, Jamie, if I can jump in. So one of the things I'm interested in is because I think this is maybe a newer space for a lot of people. I know it's something that I think about is, okay, how can I actually use these technologies to better engage learners? What does it look like to get them excited about using these technologies? If you're not using anything now, is there something that you've been thinking about trying, or something that's really piqued your interest as we've kind of talked about this? And maybe you've done your own independent research in the space, or independent poking, or as I like to say, poking around, because I'm always learning things as I poke around. But is there anything in this space that you all have thought, hey, I think I maybe want to try this, that maybe you haven't yet? And I'm seeing some ideas pop in our chat as well. But I'm just curious about the idea generation in that space, because that's really where we live a lot of times with AI, is we don't have the answer, but we're trying to figure out how to do what we think we want to do. So I'm just curious if there's anything you all have been thinking about trying that maybe you haven't tried yet, but you're kind of playing around with the idea, as I like to say, noodling on it.
Hey, let me just throw this out while people are noodling on that. I think just doing things for even your own personal interests to kind of just explore what happens. It's kind of like what Ethan was saying is you got to get in there and use it. Well, ask what are the questions you have in your day-to-day life with your family, your pets, or whatever, and just start seeing what it'll do. It's also kind of interesting to see where the limitations are. It's like, oh, well, that's not exactly where I thought this would go. So you learn about it just because it doesn't have to be a high stakes. Students are going to fail if I don't come up with a good AI prompt, but
Yeah.
you can learn more by just getting involved. And I'm listening to all this stuff. This is my first tech talk, and you guys are just crazy over the top. So many learning opportunities, so many resources. I wouldn't quite know where to begin in a sense, but that's my AI journey has just been, oh, where's Copilot down here? Let me see what happens. And, just start asking questions, start exploring, getting, just trying some things out. And it's like, oh, interesting. I'd like to see where this goes.
That's great advice. And you will hear the folks who are in the field say, start with the subject you know. So if you like gardening, start with gardening. If you want to play around with making travel itineraries, whatever you want to do, and just get into the system, you can see how it works. One of the things for me, and this is a negative, I'm sure, on me, is my prompting is very rudimentary. Like, I don't sit down and craft out these beautiful prompts. I just start a conversation, just like I would with a person sitting beside me. And it may start with some simple question. Then ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever will come back. And then I'll go back. And then we start doing the back and forth. So I don't get my head too in the clouds over writing really great prompts, because some of these prompts you'll see are a page long. And I'm like, how in the world? It would take me forever to figure out how to write that prompt. I'm not doing that. I'm just jumping in, and we're going to start talking just like I would with you, Mark, if you're sitting here beside me, and just start questioning. Ask one question, see what comes back. Well, maybe I asked you a question that didn't make sense to you, and you said something that didn't make sense to me. Well, I'm going to rephrase it and ask it again. And so we just have a conversation just like you are with someone sitting with you. And I just wouldn't, because you're right, there's so much out here, it can be overwhelming. It's just paralysis because there's so much going on. But just choose one, sit down with it, and start interacting with it with basic questions and see what happens. Go from there.
Yeah, and I think, a couple of things that are to our advantage when you just sit down and have a conversation with these tools is they're learning how you communicate, and so the productivity and the rapport, if you will, with these tools begins to elevate, and it'll start to anticipate what it is that you're looking for. So it's amazing. It's very much like having a conversation and developing a rapport with someone who is a colleague in that space. And then another thing I encourage, just kind of like what Mark is saying, is there is a lot. There's definitely a lot to take in. And I think at the core is that we're all learning this together and exploring together, and that includes our students. And so opening up that transparent dialogue with your students to say, what are you finding? What have you tried? What are you, teach me what it is that you're doing, and that we can learn together. And again, all with that eye towards the formula of human, AI, human, right? So, and that can just elevate everyone, productivity, it can elevate expectations, and who knows where it's going to go from there. So, yeah.
Okay.
So there was a question in the chat about GPT-4, 3.5, on and on. So as advertised, OpenAI held a meeting yesterday, and they are touting that GPT-4o Omni is more advanced than GPT-4. Now, here's what we found on this team is that if you have the paid version of GPT-4 now, you can get to Omni now. If you're working under the 3.5 version, the free version, it's right now rolling out. So you just need to be continuously checking. Where do you find it? When you log in to ChatGPT, in the menu up in the upper top of the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see a drop down and you can click on it and you'll see ChatGPT 3.5, ChatGPT 4.0. And if you've got ChatGPT 4, that's sitting there as well. One of the really neat things I saw is that one of the issues that kind of drove me a little crazy was between 3.5 and 4 is the access to all the different GPT library and being able to get what used to be called plugins, and now I guess they're GPTs. But the new version, they're all about, okay, we put everything behind a paywall and it wasn't great, because here's what happened. They said maybe 90% of the people stayed with 3.5 and the other little sliver went to the paid version. And they're like, uh-oh, that's not going to get, we want to make sure we're touting this big tool that does all of these things. So they've rethought their process. But with 4.0 Omni, you've got access to all those GPTs. And I watched a quick video yesterday on one doing data analysis, and it was pretty amazing. So that's a big thing I think you guys are going to really enjoy is there's GPTs in there that will create assessments, all different kinds of things we do in education, mind mapping, all the diagrams, everything. So there's going to be a lot of extra in there where you're not just straight out prompting the system. There's a lot of GPTs that you can access and take down off the shelf and use it while you're in the system.
Okay. Well, if you all have more questions, please feel free to reach out. We do want to say thank you for taking time with us today. We did put in the chat the links to our resource site, as well as the links to our survey regarding how you're using AI, and the link to sign up for the June Tech Talk Tuesday. We'll be having Tech Talk Tuesday in June and July, but we are taking August off because we think you all might be busy launching a fall semester. So we will be taking August off, but we will be having Tech Talk in June and July, and hope that you all plan to join us. Thanks again for taking time with us today. We hope you learned a thing or two and got challenged to try out one new thing with AI as you're getting ready to wrap up your semester or planning for your next semester. But we will see you back here in June. And looking forward to spending time with you then. So we hope you have an amazing afternoon.
Bye, all.